I was folding his shirts when I felt the crinkle in the inner pocket of his navy suit, the one he never let go to the cleaners. A single sheet. Folded twice. I opened it. SQ231. Business class. Departure, June 5th. Arrival, Singapore. Return, June 10th. Conference itinerary, it read, printed neatly below his name, Ethan Blake. He hadn't mentioned a conference. Not a word. I set the paper on the ironing board, smoothed its edges flat, and continued folding. By the time he got home, dinner was already laid out. Salmon, asparagus, couscous. His favorite. You're in a good mood, he said, setting his briefcase by the entry bench. I took a half day, I said, pouring wine into his glass. Cleaned up. Did some laundry. He glanced at me. That explains the smell of citrus. Hellfire. You left your suit in the hamper for a week. Consider yourself lucky. He chuckled. On Saturday, I'll wear the gray one for the pitch on Thursday anyway. I watched him cut into the salmon. What's Thursday? The investor roundtable, he said, chewing. I told you. You said next month. Did I? He looked up briefly, then back down. Might have changed. You know how Leo is. I nodded and took a sip of water. After dinner, he opened his laptop on the sofa. I took the dishes to the sink, dried my hands slowly, and leaned against the kitchen island. Anything coming up I should know about? I asked. He didn't look up. Just the usual. That fund from Zurich wants a second meeting. Might travel. Where to? Not sure. Maybe London. Could be Munich. Not Singapore? His fingers froze. Just a beat. Then he looked over his shoulder. Why would I be going to Singapore? I dried the last glass. I don't know. It's a nice city. He smiled lightly. You okay? I returned the smile. Of course. He stood and kissed my temple. Don't wait up. I've got to finish these projections. Sure. He stayed up until 1 a.m. I stayed in bed, eyes closed, listening to the click of his keyboard, the occasional muttered swear, the soft vibration of his phone. In the morning, he left early. I called Grace. Tell me I'm overreacting, I said. You're not, she replied. There could be a perfectly reasonable explanation. For a hidden ticket and a made-up itinerary? No. I walked to the window, stared down at the courtyard where the gardener clipped roses. I'm not even angry, I said. That's what bothers me. Grace exhaled on the other end. Because you've already started moving past him. I said nothing. You want me to dig? She asked. Not yet. I spent the next few days observing. He was more attentive. Quick to laugh, generous with compliments. He even brought home pastries one morning. Thought you'd like these, he said, setting the bag beside my coffee. From Lorette's? I asked, already knowing, of course. They weren't. Lorette's wrapped their croissants in silver-stamped parchment, not this pale wax paper. I unwrapped one slowly. Butter flaked down my wrist. You didn't have to, I said, smiling. His phone buzzed on the counter. He ignored it. That night, after he showered, I picked it up. The screen was locked. I didn't try to guess the code. Instead, I opened my own laptop, searched Global Equity Summit Singapore Keynote, and scrolled. His firm was one of the sponsors. I clicked through speaker profiles. Ethan wasn't listed. But Anna Tran was. I stared at her face, elegant, pointed features, and eyes like she knew the room would always listen. I clicked her biography, Director of Strategic Communications, Locke and Partners. His firm. He'd never mentioned her name. I texted Grace a screenshot. Should I be nervous? I wrote. 10 seconds later, you should be curious. I printed the page and tucked it into the back of my notebook. The next morning, I made him coffee. He walked into the kitchen, adjusting his cufflinks. You're spoiling me lately. Maybe I just love you, I said, handing him the mug. He sipped. Anything planned today? Client debrief in the morning. Strategy session at 2. Dinner with Clara. He nodded, reaching for his bag. Tell her I said hi. I will. He kissed my cheek and left. I sat down and opened my calendar. Deleted. Dinner with Clara. I blocked off 2 hours, started typing an email. Dear James Kwan, I'm reaching out regarding the recent speaker opening for the Global Equity Summit in Singapore. I paused, backspaced, typed again, this time under a different name. Saturday night, we had drinks with another couple, old friends. Ethan was charming. Polished. Told the story about our trip to Copenhagen, the one where I'd booked the wrong hotel and he'd saved the day. I laughed when I was supposed to. Smiled when the spotlight found me later. In the car, he reached for my hand. You've been still lately. Still? Not quiet. Just centered. I'm observing, I said. Observing what? Patterns. He looked over. Is everything okay? I met his gaze. Of course. He turned back to the road. The next day, I folded laundry again. This time, I checked all the pockets first. Nothing hidden, but the suit still smelled like perfume I didn't wear. I held the collar to my nose, then let it fall into the basket. Then I sat down, opened a blank document, and wrote my name, the real one, the one I would use on stage, the one he had quietly edited out of his life. Asterisk 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 asterisk. He started locking his phone. That was the first thing. Then came the late nights, the vague meetings, the sudden need for personal space in a marriage that had once been all overlapping calendars and shared toothbrush drawers. I didn't question. I listened. Tell me again. Why you haven't confronted him? Grace asked, flipping through a legal pad. Because he's not ready to lie well enough yet. She looked up. That's cold. No, I said, it's strategy. She leaned back in the booth, coffee untouched. You're documenting. Quietly. What have you got? He says he's working late on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Last Tuesday, his GPS pinged twice near the Marina Club. No boardrooms there. She raised an eyebrow. I didn't check his phone, I added. It synced with the car. Grace gave a low whistle. Smart. He came home with a scratch on his wrist, I said. Said he bumped into a file cabinet. You believe him? He hasn't had a file cabinet since 2019. She finally sipped her coffee. This is dangerous, you know. Only if I act on it too soon. Grace stared at me a moment. And what if you're wrong? I'm not. That Thursday, I watched him from the kitchen window. He stood in the driveway pretending to check emails, his eyes darting up and down the street. Then he opened the back seat, pulled out a blazer, and changed in the car. He never noticed me standing there. When he came inside, I was setting the table, working late again. I asked. He kissed my cheek. Yeah, internal strategy session. Need me to pack dinner? Nah. They're bringing in sushi. I nodded, folding napkins. Tell Leo the first said hi. He paused. Leo? You said you were meeting him tonight. Oh, yeah, Leo. Right. Will do. He left 5 minutes later. I checked the rideshare notification on my phone. He was dropped off at the St. Regis. Room 1809. He's not being sloppy. He's being confident, I told Grace over the phone. He thinks you won't dig, she replied. He thinks you're loyal. I am, I said. Just not to him anymore. At dinner Saturday night, he reached for my hand. I let him. You've been quiet lately, he said. I've been paying attention. His smile twitched. To what? Everything you're not saying. He tilted his head. Are we okay? I looked straight into his eyes. Are we? He laughed, but it didn't land. Don't go all therapist on me. I'm just asking. He leaned back. You've always been intense. That's not new. I've always been honest. He picked up his wine. So what are you accusing me of? Nothing, I said. Yet. The next morning, I checked his drawer. Nothing personal in it. Not a receipt, not a stray post-it. He'd erased himself. From the spaces we used to share. Grace met me in the park, laptop open on her knees. I pulled the event sponsor list, she said, tilting the screen toward me. Ethan's firm is underwriting 3 panels at the summit. Let me guess, I said. No mention of Ethan. No. But Anna Tran's doing press interviews on behalf of the team. I clenched my jaw. She's good, Grace added. Her past PR wins? Ruthless. Then she's not stupid, I said, meaning? She knows he's married. Grace hesitated. Are you ready to start playing offense? Not yet. That night, he came in later than usual. You're up, he said, loosening his tie. I couldn't sleep. He walked into the kitchen, poured himself water. You should try melatonin. I'll consider it. He glanced at me. You okay? I'm observant. Is that code for something? I shrugged. You tell me. He smiled, but it was thin. You always read too much into things. You always leave too many blanks. He drank. What are you trying to say? I'm just noticing the silence, that's all. He stared at me for a beat. Then, I'm tired, babe. No, I said. So am I. Later, I emailed myself everything I'd compiled so far. Call logs. Car GPS data. Calendar inconsistencies. The booking receipt for a dinner at Amara, charged to our joint account, under her name. Grace texted me just before midnight to clean. Tight. You're building a case without lifting a finger. I replied, I don't need a confrontation. I need a strategy. You've got one. Want help? Soon. Not yet. I lay in bed, listening to the hum of his shower. The sound used to calm me. Now it told me when to act. I closed my eyes and waited. Her name was buried in his calendar like it belonged there. Lunch with Anna, discuss partner rollout. 12-1. Repeating weekly. I clicked on her name. Anna Tran. Director of Corporate Affairs, Locke & Partners. Degrees from Yale and INSEAD. A keynote on brand resilience. Fluent in French. And, apparently, fluent in married men. Her LinkedIn photo looked expensive. Pinned hair, sharp cheekbones, a gaze that expected to be agreed with. I didn't close the tab. I scrolled. You stalking her again? Clara asked, chewing on a piece of toast across from me. I'm researching. You're simmering. I looked up. There's a difference. She looks polished. She looks like a woman who's never waited for anything. Clara raised an eyebrow. So what's the plan? No plan. I'm gathering data. She works at his firm. Yes. Communications director. Which means she's good at spinning stories. You think she knows? She books lunch with a married man weekly. She knows. Maybe it's professional. I slid my laptop around to show her Anna's Instagram caption, power lunches with my favorite strategist. Best ideas always over wine. Clara blinked. And she tagged him. That's not discreet. It's confident. She's either oblivious or she's marking territory. Both, I said. Clara stared at me. You okay? I'm curious. That's not an answer. I pushed the laptop aside. She speaks on panels. Podcasts. Does internal PR. Smart, visible, verbal. Exactly. Clara sipped her coffee. You're not threatened by her. No, then what are you? I'm watching the woman who thinks she's already won. Later that night, I waited for him to finish his call. He came into the kitchen with his tie loosened. What's for dinner? You tell me, I said. You were with Anna. His eyes flicked up. What? You had a lunch. He grabbed a glass. It was on the calendar. You checking up on me? I was checking the sink. It's on our shared view. He filled his glass slowly. It was business. I didn't ask. He paused. Okay. Then what's this? Observation. He smiled. You're jealous. No. I'm informed. Jesus, he muttered, walking out. Grace called 2 days later, found her old firm, she said. Left in 2018 after an internal ethics complaint. Details? Sealed. But the timing lines up with a failed M&A rollout that tanked a client's stock. Did she recover? Landed at lock a month later. Clean PR, aggressive pivot. She's good. She's practiced. I paused. Get me the conference list for Singapore. Saturday morning, Clara dropped a file on my counter. She's doing a panel with 3 VCs, topic, leadership optics. I flipped through. Anna's name was at the top. She's headlining, I said, PR royalty. They'll eat her up. I closed the folder. She's not the real threat. Clara folded her arms. Then who is? Ethan. That night, I called him into the living room. Is she important to you? I asked. He blinked. What? Anna. He let out a laugh. Where's this coming from? You tell me. He scratched his neck. She's a colleague. She posts about you like she's married to you. You're overreacting. Then explain it. He raised his voice. It's nothing. God. You want me to block coworkers now? No. I said. I want the truth. I'm working. I know. She's part of that. I know. He looked at me. So what do you want? I want to see if you'll lie. He stared at me. Said nothing. That was all I needed. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I opened my laptop, searched Anna Tram plus Keynote, and submitted a speaking proposal under a pseudonym. A week later, I received the acceptance email, confirmed, Singapore. Opening Keynote. Opposite Anna's afternoon slot. I smiled. Anna would speak to strategy. I would speak to silence. Asterisk. James Kwan's voice was crisp, neutral. Ms. Ward, thank you for accepting the Keynote slot. We're excited to feature your perspective. I smiled into the phone. I appreciate the invitation. We were surprised you submitted anonymously. I wanted the talk to stand on merit. Well, it did. Clean logic. Strategic tone. Minimal ego. Refreshing. That's the goal. There's one thing, he said. You're listed as speaker at 10 a.m., main hall. There's a panel at 3 with someone from your former firm. I let a beat pass. I'm aware. He didn't push. Smart man. Vivian Singh approached after the Zoom orientation ended. Her voice was smooth, assertive. You're the wild card, she said. I prefer underutilized asset. She laughed once. You're not what I expected. You read the paper? I did. You sliced the equity divide without bleeding the audience. Old habit. You worked at Locke, didn't you? Briefly. She nodded. Strategic exit? Necessary one. She paused. Your name's going to make a few people uncomfortable. I'm counting on it. She smiled. See you in Singapore. I submitted my bio with no headshot, no firm, just 5 lines, strategic architect. Former M&A integration lead. Contributor to HBR speaker on institutional trust. It didn't matter. My ideas opened the door. My absence from Ethan's world kept. It wide. Ethan passed me a glass of water while packing. You sure you're okay with me being gone that week? I took it. Of course. I've got my own work ramping up. Good. This trip's tight. Meetings back to back. Sponsors. Panels. Dinners. He froze. How'd you know? Your schedule popped up in my inbox again. Glitch? Probably. He zipped his suitcase. I'll forward the right one. Don't bother. I'll be buried in my own decks. He nodded, relieved. At the airport, I watched from 2 terminals over. He didn't see me bored. Singapore was humid and hushed. I checked in under my middle name. Wore my hair up. Kept my distance. 2 days before the keynote, James pulled me aside after the tech run. There's been a request for your slides, he said. From an internal partner. Deny it. He nodded. I figured. Just letting you know, people are asking questions. They'll get answers. On stage. The night before the conference, I saw her, Anna. Tall, controlled, laughing at a table full of executives. Her dress was white. Her hand was on Ethan's shoulder. I didn't approach. I didn't need to. Vivian sat beside me at the prep breakfast. You ready? She asked. Always. She leaned in. You do know who's sitting front row, right? Of course. You're not nervous? I met her eyes. Not even slightly. 10 minutes before showtime, James walked me backstage. Last chance to change your opener. No changes. He looked at me. Any message you want me to pass? Just keep the spotlight steady. The lights dimmed. My name echoed across the room. Please welcome keynote speaker, Margot Ward. Not Blake, not his anything. I walked to the center. The audience stilled. Ethan's eyes locked on me like a man spotting a ghost in daylight. Anna's mouth parted. Confused. Then afraid. I smiled once. Power is quiet, I began. Until it's ready to speak. The hotel lobby smelled like cold jasmine and wealth. Every surface gleamed. Conversations floated like mist, low, guarded, practiced. I saw them before they saw me. Anna was in navy silk, heels that didn't announce her presence. Her hand grazed Ethan's arm as if she'd done it for years. He leaned in slightly, murmuring something that made her smile, eyes tilted upward like she was watching a star. Checking in, the concierge asked me quietly. Yes. Under Margot Ward. He tapped the keys. Didn't flinch at the name. Welcome, Ms. Ward. 1 King Deluxe, City View. 3 nights? Correct. He slid the keycard across the counter. I turned back once. Ethan's hand now rested lightly at Anna's lower back. His face was relaxed. Confident, they didn't notice me pass. The elevator was a glass capsule facing the skyline. A slow rise. Over everything he thought he could control. Room 1807. Not far from his, if he'd booked what he usually did. I opened my suitcase, laid out my notes, and checked my slides again. Timing, tone, delivery. No mistakes. Then I walked back downstairs. Excuse me, I said to the concierge, the same one from earlier. He straightened. Yes, Ms. Ward. I believe my partner may have checked in already. Mr. Blake. Could you confirm? His eyes flickered. Mr. Blake is in 1809. Arrived half an hour ago. With a guest? I can't disclose that. Of course not. He hesitated. But I did note some tension. I met his gaze. Between them? No, he said. With the room card. She took his, and he didn't correct it. Thank you. He nodded once. Enjoy your stay. I walked to the bar, took a seat in the corner. Ethan arrived 20 minutes later. Alone, Anna wasn't with him. He ordered whiskey neat, glanced at his phone, then stared at the glass like it had insulted him. I didn't approach the bartender. Whispered something. Ethan looked up, toward me, his mouth parted. He blinked once. I raised my glass. Just a flicker. He stood. I waved him off with a smile. A calm, surgical smile. He hesitated, then sat back down. Didn't look at me again. The next morning, I entered the conference floor early, checked in, speaker badge, the volunteer said, pinning the lanyard around my neck. People nodded at me. Whispered. Curious, respectful. I walked past the event board. Ethan's panel was at noon. Anna's at 3. Mine was the keynote. 10 a.m. main hall. Spotlight waiting. At breakfast, Anna sat 2 tables away. She hadn't seen me yet. I listened. Need to make sure James has the sponsor list updated, she said to her assistant. And confirm my speaking slot. Her voice was smooth. Confident. I imagined it was the same one she used when Ethan first lied to her, calm, assured, already in control. Then she turned, her gaze hit mine. Her expression didn't change at first, then it cracked, just slightly. She turned back to her coffee. An hour later, I stepped into the staging room. James Kwan greeted me with a nod. We're ready when you are. I'm right on time. He checked his clipboard. You always are. I glanced at the monitor. The ballroom was full. Ethan was in the third row, Anna wasn't beside him. Any concerns? James asked. None. You sure? He won't interrupt. James smiled. Handed me the mic. Go get them. As the lights dimmed and the stage lit, I took one breath, then I stepped into the light. *********. The ballroom lights dimmed. Silence spread like oil. James stood at the mic. Our next speaker has shaped leadership strategy across 3 continents. Please welcome, Margot Ward. A beat. A few claps, then more. I stepped out. The light was blinding, but not enough to hide his face. Ethan. Third row, slightly left. His hands froze mid-applause. The color drained half a shade. Anna sat 2 seats over. She blinked, tilted her head like something wasn't computing. I adjusted the mic. Power, I said, voice steady, is quiet. Until it isn't. Anna's smile faltered. Ethan didn't move. Let me tell you a story, I continued. A man, sharp, decorated, built his career by trimming away noise. Except it wasn't noise. It was dissent. Talent. The kind that threatens insecure kings. A low murmur passed. In the corporate world, power often favors the visible. But influence? Influence is built in silence. Study after study shows that organizations don't crumble from sabotage. They rot from tolerated erasure. I glanced down. Ethan shifted in his seat. Erasure starts quietly. It begins with dismissing input, gatekeeping growth, rerouting credit. And it thrives when the people most capable of stopping it remain polite. Anna's hand rose to her necklace. Ethan's jaw tightened. I paused, letting the air hold my words. This talk isn't about revenge. It's about return. The return of credibility. Of truth. Of the woman who was told to step back for the good of the team, and decided instead to build her own. A beat, silence, then one clap, from the back. It grew. James Kwan stood just off stage, arms crossed, a slow grin forming. The panel concluded 30 minutes later. I stepped down, handed the mic to the next speaker, and walked through the side hall. I heard the footsteps before I turned. Margot, Ethan said, voice low. I stopped. Turned. You knew I'd be here, he said. Yes. That was calculated. I tilted my head. That was strategic. You didn't even tell me, you didn't invite me. He stepped closer. You ambushed a professional event for what? A message? For truth. You embarrassed me. No, I said, voice even. I clarified the story. His mouth opened. Shut. You could have talked to me. I did, I said. For years. You stopped listening. He glanced around. This isn't the place. Then don't speak. Listen. He looked me over like I was something foreign. What do you want? Nothing, I said. That's the difference now. I moved past him. Anna waited in the corner, arms folded. Clever, she said, thank you. You could have gone public differently. Public wasn't the goal. Accuracy was. She shifted. You framed him. No, I said. I revealed him. I don't need a lesson, I think you do, I said. Because you're next. You just don't know it yet. She blinked. Excuse me? Look at his history. He rotates loyalty like it's policy. I was the strategic asset once. So was Julia, before me. Her throat twitched. That's not the same, it's exactly the same, I said. And deep down, you already know it. She didn't respond. I left her there backstage. James approached. Well, he said, that was unexpected. You regretting the slot? On the contrary. He handed me a bottle of water. You just raised the bar. I wasn't aiming for drama. You didn't need to. Truth carries. I took the bottle. Thanks for the stage. He smiled. It's yours. Whenever you want it. In the privacy of the green room, I sat alone. No applause. No confrontation, just silence, but this time, it was mine. **********. The applause hadn't faded when I slipped out the service exit. No drinks. No interviews. No backward glances. I took the side elevator up to the 25th floor, walked to room 1809, and let myself in with the key Grace had arranged. His suitcase was still open on the bench. Navy socks, spare tie, a conference badge with his name sharp in black ink. I slid the envelope into the front pocket, my resignation letter, 2 pages, clipped and signed. Then I opened his laptop. The email was queued, timestamped, loaded with exhibits Grace had curated, joint account withdrawals, 2 misreported travel expenses, and a discreet but firm line. Please direct all future financial correspondence through legal counsel. I hit send, then I closed it, zipped the case, and walked out. Grace answered on the second ring. It's done, I said, all of it. Envelope in his briefcase. Email sent. You sure you don't want to be there when he sees it? I don't need the reaction, I said. I just need the result. She paused. You're cold today. I'm clear. Same thing, sometimes, she said. What's your exit path? Taxi to the Mandarin. One night. Flight in the morning. No Ethan drama? Not yet. But you're expecting some. He doesn't lose well. Grace exhaled. I'll monitor responses on the legal side. Just confirm your check-in. I will. You okay? I feel efficient. My phone buzzed at 7:43 p.m. Ethan, where are you? Ethan, we need to talk. Now. Ethan, what the hell is this email? Ethan, Margot, don't play games. I put the phone down. At 8:05, he called. I let it ring twice, then answered, where the hell are you? He said, not in your narrative anymore. What does that mean? It means I've removed myself from the roles you cast me in. You blindside me at a conference, then pull this crap? This crap? I repeated. You mean illegal review of our shared finances? His voice dropped. You're making a mistake. No, I said. You made a pattern. Margot, come on, this is overkill. Talk to me. I did. For months. I didn't cheat. You erased. He paused. That's not criminal. But the fund transfers are. He swore under his breath. You don't want to do this. I already have. Can we meet? I deserve a conversation. No, I said. You deserve a mirror. Click. 10 minutes later, Grace texted. He called me. Said he wants to work it out. I said, she already has. I smiled. Room 2103 was quiet. The Mandarin lobby lit like a jewelry box. My phone buzzed once more. Ethan, please. I deleted the thread, then I closed the curtains and ordered a drink, neat, dark, and final. He was already pacing when I walked in. Shirt untucked, sleeves rolled to his elbows, trying to look disarmed. Relatable, Margot, he said. Thank God. I closed the door behind me. We need to talk, he said, stepping forward. We are. You disappeared. You left me in Singapore with no idea. I left a letter in your suitcase. Jesus, a resignation letter? You couldn't just say something? I did. In stages. In signals. You called it mood swings. He ran a hand through his hair. Can we sit? Please. No, he paused. All right. Okay. I placed a folder. On the kitchen island. What's that? Your pattern. He didn't move. I flipped it open. February 6th. Company account billed for a private car to a personal dinner. Anna was there. Expense marked as client liaison. That was Leo's client. I told you that. I called Leo. He wasn't in the country. He blinked. You called April 2nd, I said. Hotel receipt from the marina. 1 room, 2 guests. You charged it to our joint card. You told me you were in Boston. He stepped back. You're twisting this. June. You authorized a discretionary fund transfer. 9,000. Destination, Anna's LLC. She consults. She's not registered for outside contracting with Locke. That violates your firm's policy. He swallowed. I pulled out the final document. And here, your internal correspondence with HR. You pushed back on my team promotion. The same week you suggested Anna for an advisory role. That wasn't, Margot, you don't know the politics involved. I know the pattern, I said. You used our proximity to gain trust, then weaponized it when I stopped being useful. He stepped forward. I didn't mean to. You did it deliberately, I said. That's why it was so clean. He looked down. It wasn't personal. It was surgical. He met my eyes. I messed up. No, I said. You underestimated me. He exhaled. Okay. Let's back up. This whole escalation. The email, the threats, this can be walked back. It can't. I'll fix the account issue. We can go to a counselor. I'm not negotiating. You're burning it down. No, I said. I'm vacating. You'll stay here through the audit. Then I'll decide what I want. Legally. His jaw tensed. You're serious? I didn't answer. He stared at me for a long time. Then, softening. You really hate me that much? I shook my head. I don't hate you, Ethan. I see you. Clearly, finally. He opened his mouth. I was already walking away. It started with the press release. Resignation of Anna Tran, Director of Corporate Affairs, effective immediately. No explanation. No ceremony. Just one line. Vivian forwarded it to me the next morning. Vivian, told you she'd fall first. Me, heard she was escorted out. Vivian. Not dramatic. Just final. Me, that's the best kind. Ethan's fallout came slower. 1 board member stepped down, pending internal restructuring. 2 partners flagged discrepancies in fund allocations tied to Singapore accounts. By the end. Of the week, Locke's compliance team launched an internal review. Ethan's name was all over the reports. I didn't leak anything, the documents I filed were private, precise, and delivered through legal protocol. Grace handled it with surgical language, there were no headlines, only silence, the kind that echoes, Vivian. Called on a Wednesday afternoon, tell me something, she said. You done playing ghost? That depends. You still offering? I have 3 firms on the line asking about you. 2 think you're a myth. 1 called you a scalpel. Which one's paying like I'm both? She laughed. Mine. You're not worried I come with fire? I like fire, she said. As long as it burns clean. What do you want from me? An audit of my executive branch. Strategic counsel. No bullshit. No window dressing? I'm offering a desk. She said, not a pedestal. I'll need my name on everything. License reinstated under my own entity. Obviously. And I won't answer to a man in loafers who calls me intense. You'll answer to me, she said. And I'll call you effective. That Friday, I submitted the final paperwork for Margot Ward Consulting. By Monday, my inbox had 3 project offers. No husband. No firm. No noise, just names, terms, clarity. I ran into James Kwan downtown a week later. He paused, adjusted his cuff. You made quite an impression. I wasn't trying to. Even better, he said. Everyone's still talking about the keynote. Good or bad? Split down the middle. Which means it worked. I smiled. He gestured to the cafe. Behind him. Want to debrief over espresso? I'm not debriefing anymore, I said. I'm designing. James tilted his head. So what's next? I stepped into the crosswalk. He called after me, Ward, don't stay too quiet. I didn't turn. I won't, I said. Not anymore. I folded the note once, slid it beneath the lamp on the hallway table, just above the drawer where he used to keep his cufflinks, like they were medals. The envelope was unsealed. I wanted him to read it before assuming it meant apology. Ethan, you should have told the truth. I might have forgiven that. I know you'll say it wasn't about Anna. That it wasn't personal, but the way you lied, it was practiced. You didn't hesitate, you didn't flinch, you just removed me, quietly. Methodically. Like it was an efficiency issue. You once said I was your sharpest edge. What you meant was I made you look sharper. You didn't betray me with an affair, you betrayed me with subtraction. I didn't write love, or always, or anything poetic. The last line was this: you bet against the wrong person, and I signed it like I signed every deal. He said I was too aggressive to close. Margot. I was halfway to the door when I heard the key turn. I didn't move. He stepped inside, spotted me, startled. You're here. I was just leaving. He saw the envelope. What's that? Closure. He walked toward it. Can I open it? You can read. His hand hovered over it. This feels cruel. No, I said. It's precise. He stared at me. You really won't even talk to me? This is me talking. He exhaled. You always get the last word. No, I said. I just waited long enough to earn it. I turned the knob. Margot, he said, softer now. You were never small to me. You just hoped I'd stay that way. And then I left. Berlin was colder than I remembered. Clean air, thick coats, slow mornings. The office sat above a design firm, all concrete edges and matte glass. My nameplate was already mounted when I arrived, black lettering, centered. Margot Ward, Principal Strategist. No Blake. No past, just space. Marcus met me on the second day. You're earlier than the Germans, he said, nodding at my coffee. I like silence before opinions arrive. Ah, he smiled. Then you'll fit in. He wasn't charming. He was observant. You left a firm like Locke, he said over lunch. That's not usual. It was necessary. Bad politics. Bad bets. He raised an eyebrow. They bet against you? They did. Regret it? No, I said. I profited. He walked me through team structure that afternoon. Sharp mind. Clean frameworks. Anything I should watch for? I asked. Our CFO likes to pretend. He forgets women's names. Let him. You're not worried? I never compete with people I've already outgrown. He glanced at me. You're not new to this. No, then what are you here to build? Freedom, I said. In my own language. The next morning, I took my coffee outside. No email barrage. No adrenaline spike, just taste. Heat. Choice. You always read this early? Marcus asked, gesturing at the report in my lap. I like knowing what others will pretend to know at noon. He sat beside me on the bench. You want to lead the next proposal? Yes. He didn't hesitate. It's yours. Just like that? You're not here to assist, Margot. I looked at him. And what are you here for? To work beside people who don't lie to themselves. That afternoon, he handed me a file, small account. Not loud. but meaningful. Why me? He smiled. Because you don't flinch. When I got home, I unpacked the last box. Inside, one photo. Me, years ago. Before. I didn't hang it. I placed it face down in a drawer, then I poured a glass of wine, stepped out onto the balcony, and let the Berlin sky settle around me, whole, scarred, but no longer small. I used to think peace was silence. A clean inbox. An unspoken apology. A man walking back through the door, less proud and more afraid, but peace wasn't absence. It was knowing I could have destroyed him, and didn't. Do you ever miss it? Marcus asked. We stood by the window in the break lounge, watching the sun fold behind rooftops. Miss what? The power. The heat of it. I have it. I meant the fight. I sipped my coffee. The fight wasn't the problem. It was who I was fighting for. He nodded. So you don't regret the fire? No, I said. I just use it differently now. The emails still came, clients, invitations, thinly veiled press inquiries about the Singapore keynote. I answered few. Built slower. Declined anything. That smelled like rebranding a man's mistake into a woman's comeback. Clara called from New York. You sound calm, she said. I am. You never say that. I never meant it before. She was quiet for a moment. Are you happy? I'm clean. She laughed. You always did define things your own way. I passed a mirror at the hotel near Alexanderplatz. The woman staring back wasn't softened. She wasn't harder either, just exact. Grace messaged me a photo from a magazine, Ethan on page 12, blurred beside a headline that read, Structural Shifts and the Price of Oversight. Grace, thought you'd want a copy. Me, not necessary. Grace, want me to mail it to the fireplace? Me, only if it's cold where you are. That weekend, I sat by the canal and wrote 3 lines in my notebook. I didn't shatter. I separated. And that's not the same thing. A child rode by on a scooter, laughing. Someone played cello near the bridge. An old woman offered me her bench with a nod. I smiled. Peace isn't quiet. It's accurate. It's earned.